Hi guys, it is May 29th and it's day 70 of lockdown. 70, bloody hell. Yeah, I made a bit of a joke a few days ago, probably a few weeks ago. Could have been months, could have been hours, bugger knows. I've got no idea what's going on with time anymore, but at some point in the relatively recent past, I made a joke about, wonder if we'll get to like 100 days of lockdown. But actually, it's starting to feel like maybe we will. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe if we do reach 100, we'll do something different for day 100. Maybe we'll do a live one. Take comments as we go. Do a live stream vlog or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, bloody hell.
I feel like I'm looking quite shiny in this today. I've been out in the kitchen making potatoes again, and just the fact it's already quite hot weather, and then being in a hot kitchen making hot food, I just end up with a bit of sort of brow sweat going on. It makes me look a little bit
I think maybe it's the lighting in this, it exaggerates it, because you don't look sort of all hot and sweaty in person.
Well, it's like when you see people in real life and they look fine, but if you film them on TV and they haven't had anything done and they look very...
Yeah, it looks shiny, because actually I look quite shiny and I've got makeup on, so yeah.
I slightly thought, because when I was filmed for S4C, they did put some makeup.
Yeah. Oh, did they?
On us then, yeah.
I think it is. It's like matty, because they tend they've got the same colour that they use for everyone. It's just kind of powder that they just put on. I think maybe it does just kind of dull you out a bit.
I did wonder about it when I filmed my special in Bristol, but I didn't.
I'll be all over that if you film another one.
Well, I felt like it felt like a very arrogant when there's other people appearing on it as well, and everyone's having it. But it was just nice. But I felt it'd be a very sort of arrogant, vain thing to do to start putting on makeup for a thing. I don't know. Also, I wouldn't have known where to start or what.
No, if you'd have done it yourself at that point, you'd have probably done a terrible job. You'd have looked like one of those like 16-year-old, I say 16-year-old girls, it probably like 12-year-old girl putting on makeup for the first time and they end up with like a really orange face and then it just stops right there.
Oh, and
yeah.
I was thinking more...
I don't know if you'd know about colour matching. And just...
No, I was thinking more Nosferatu. Like 1930s silent horror movies.
Right, okay.
Just very white. And
yeah. Well, to be honest, you probably would, because we discovered when I was putting your makeup on that you are actually as pale as me. I think you're just, your rosy cheeks hide it a bit more. So actually, you'd have probably struggled to buy pale enough foundation, because I struggle. Yeah.
Another reason I'm maybe a bit hot and bothered, I've had a bit of an adventure this evening.
A bit of a last-minute adventure.
And when I say adventure, I mean I never thought I'd use that word to describe a trip to Sainsbury's.
No, but an unexpected trip anywhere in these times is a bit of an adventure.
Yeah.
Basically, I fucked up.
I wasn't going to attribute blame, but...
Well, I can pretend I didn't fuck up, but you definitely didn't fuck up. Basically, yeah, we ordered, I thought, a delivery from Sainsbury's, which are quite hard to come by. But actually, a few weeks ago, I sort of shopped around and we managed to get one quite soon with Asda. That was like a day or two after the day we were looking. And it was a bit unusual because they had no slots except for one slot left that day. So I nabbed it while I could and ordered from them. So this time I went to Sainsbury's. I thought I'll book a slot first and then I'll shop. Found it, and again it was a similar situation. There was nothing until Tuesday, but there was one slot tonight. So I was like, oh, quick, bag it.
And you think, well, that's what happened with Asda. So you're lulled into a sense of security of like, oh, I guess this happens.
Yeah,
I guess maybe
they just release one and then it pops up and you just get lucky. So ordered a whole bunch of stuff to be delivered between 8:30 and 9. And I also thought, oh, that's a smaller slot than they normally do. That's interesting. Didn't clock it. Turns out, was not a delivery. I ordered a click and collect, but obviously we were expecting it to come to the door. And then when sort of 9 o'clock rolled around and then 9:15 rolled around and we hadn't seen anything, I was like, I better investigate this. So when investigating it, I discovered collection. And then I was like, oh, shit. What do you do if you haven't picked it up in time? But then it was like, ring the store, and it's just automated and it can't answer my question. So then I'm like in the T's and C's on the website, and then it turns out it says if you don't pick up a click and collect collection, they will at the end of the click and collect hours take your stuff into the store and you can still collect it in store up to close that day. And Sainsbury's shuts at 10. And by this time, after like sort of scooching around on the internet and reading the small print of my emails and stuff, it was 9:38. So thankfully, it is again very handy that I've got relatives that live around the corner. So we called on them, as we have had to do for vet trips and things. We have been doing, unfortunately, had to do car journeys with all masked up and hand sanitized beforehand and all of that. But yes, so family to the rescue, and off you went to Sainsbury's and picked it all up, and actually it was fine. But I was absolutely fuming with myself, and I nearly cried.
I wasn't fuming with you. What?
No, you were very good, but you were visibly disappointed.
Yeah, I really wanted all of the stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and because we only have a very small shop near us, so we're quite limited in what we can get, and you know, sometimes you go in and they don't have the thing you need. So, and also we were buying some stuff in bulk because it's cheaper that way, and you can't do that in the local store, or you can't necessarily carry it home even if they do have the stuff. So so it's very disappointing. But that said, the mistake you made, if I had made it, it would be so on brand for me to have made that sort of mistake that I thought I couldn't possibly hold it against you for doing something that I probably would have done in a similar
I don't think that's on brand.
Well, I don't know.
It was an easy mistake to make, but it was just,
Well,
it
exactly.
was just, I think, you know, when you're just looking at something and I guess it said, I was seeing what I thought it said, not what it actually said, and it was probably saying like book a collection, and I'm thinking book a delivery, and so basically that was just me being an idiot. But normally that would be a pain in the bum, but under these times when it's so hard to get, it's quite hard to get click and collect slots, it's very hard to get deliveries. I was so pleased that I'd got one, but I hadn't. What an idiot.
But it was quite an experience going to pick up the shopping.
Why? Yeah, well, we sort of only covered it a little bit, but yeah, I don't know much about how that all worked.
Well, I went along, and obviously we'd seen on the website, even though we'd missed our slot, if you turn up before the store closes, they'll have kept your shopping for you. But it became apparent once I got there that this is not a regular occurrence. This is not a thing that happens, because I went to customer. Obviously, we'd missed our slots. I couldn't go to the click and collect place.
Well, they'd shut up because actually, the rest of the day you probably could have. Like, let's say you were supposed to pick it up at 12 and you'd rock up at 3. They'd probably be able to tell you, oh, actually, it's gone back in because obviously your refrigerated stuff needs to be refrigerated or whatever. But they would have taken it wherever. They would have been able to sort you out. But they weren't there. They shut up shop at 9.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, well, I can't ask the people who deal with click and collects all day. So it's just got to ask in customer services.
And so I went to customer services, and she asked me to go outside again and check if the click and collect van was still there, which I did, and it wasn't. And I went back, and she was chasing various managers and things. And they obviously didn't really know who to ask or where it would be until but they did eventually sort of find it and bring it to me.
That's brilliant. And bless you, said the sweetest thing, because you sent me a message, because I was expecting you to basically message and say, yeah, it's gone, they've cancelled it, and we just have to either order it, because you wouldn't have had time to do any shopping. It would have been about 5 to 10 by that point. But yeah, you said the sweetest thing. You said, I keep automatically trying to smile apologetically to everyone I'm dealing with, but I'm wearing a mask. So
I was sort of, because everyone's there. I've got, they're
trying
being
to have
very
really
nice.
smiley eyes.
And they don't know, you know, and I've got this mask on, so they can't see my face. I did, when the guy actually turned up with our shopping, I said, you can't see it, but underneath this mask, I look incredibly relieved and grateful.
That's sweet.
But it was because I realised once I was there, I'm in this supermarket, and I'm looking around me, and I mean, for a lot of people, like a big supermarket would be where they're going for their essential shop, potentially. So it's not so unusual for everyone. But for me, it's so long now since I've been in a supermarket like that. Like a big, proper... We've got like a Tesco Express, one of the little local ones. And just...
But yeah, that's it's a big supermarket,
but
that one.
You know, just the ceilings are higher and the shelves are higher. And it's
You're institutionalised, aren't you?
Yeah, it is like going, whoa, I've not been in a building like this for a long time. And it's excuse me, it was only about a 5-minute drive, but it was like, this is the furthest. I guess when I took Poppet to the vets was probably the last time I was that far. And that would have been about 6 weeks ago that I last took Poppet to the vet, maybe.
Give or take, yeah. You've only done it the one time, and we do, and actually, I should say, we do try to keep it to be the same people. But I'm not that well. I'm like mentally doing much better. I'm all good, but I'm quite sore today. So I just knew that if I was there, like I wouldn't be able to load the car or unload the car or anything. So I was just like, oh, I'm really sorry, Chris, but like also I wasn't able to rush because. Thankfully, you stepped up.
Go along, but it's it was just a big bit, and also like it was very quiet because it was by the time we got there, it was about 9:45. They close at 10. So there wasn't a queue to get in like there usually is at our little Tesco. There wasn't crowds, and there's these big wide aisles where you feel like you could run around and keep socially distanced. And I really, it was so sort of tantalising because I could see all the shelves of stuff. Yeah, and you just go, I could get some bits that, you know, sometimes because Ellie's vegan and I eat meat and we have limited kind of cupboard and storage space and we don't want to splurge too much money either, so sometimes I think of nice meaty things I'd get, but I think like that, well I won't ask, that's a bit indulgent, we can get something we can both have, or some bits for the freezer, but you do, being there you think like, there could be stuff that's reduced, it's the end of the day, I could get some cheap bits, I could get some you know, a nice, or just some things that they don't have up the road, you know.
It's really, it's this whole lockdown situation really is permeating every single activity of your life, and it is making you really notice and appreciate things that you take so for granted the rest of the time. Just the idea of having the ability to walk around a supermarket, and just because also if you're ordering online, you've got to kind of think about what you want and then type that in, and then like you can't really browse.
Yeah, just the idea of going I wouldn't necessarily think to get that, but I could browse. Oh, we've got to pause this so I can turn potatoes. But
okay. But yeah, you can sort of. I'll pause now. Pausing on browsing.
Yeah, but you're kind of in a situation where you just the idea of being able to walk down an aisle and just go, oh, that's interesting. That's different, and you never. And some of the things that they have, you never would think to go, oh yes, you know, 4 lamb cutlets with rosemary and red wine.
I definitely wouldn't.
Well, no, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't guess that that's a product.
Yeah, you wouldn't think about it. And you can, to an extent, because like you can shop online by like going to offers, what's on offer, and go like buy aisle. So go offers, bakery, and see what's there. But you just don't, and it's I guess under normal circumstances it's good because you don't sort of impulse buy or splurge, but it's nice to have the option to sort of mooch around and
well, I tell you what's a good example is shortly before lockdown, like really shortly before lockdown, we discovered a new type of frozen treats, didn't we? A smooth.
We've mentioned these on the blog before, because actually one of my friends has then gone, you're going to need to tell me about them.
Yeah, and they are called Smooth. Smooth. And I think they launched actually shortly before lockdown as well, because they were in quite prominent display.
Yeah, they put them sort of at the end of an aisle,
so I think this was like a thing that they were trying to plug. And what they are is like frozen coconut milk.
Yeah.
And I think maybe a bit of sugar, but not really anything else.
They're quite low calorie actually, because coconut milk itself is quite high calorie because it's got quite a lot of fat in it. But it's pretty good for you it's like good fats. But yeah, I think they're sweetened, but I don't think there's a huge amount of sugar in them. But yeah, they're kind of like those like triangular jubblies that you used to get, but rather than it being an ice lolly inside, it's more creamy and smooth and lovely.
It basically is just like frozen coconut milk, isn't it? And they do a mango flavour as well.
The first ones we had are just coconut milk, and they're sort of lovely and creamy and nice. But yeah, they do a few other flavours. So yeah, there's like mango and coconut. They're all something in coconut, but mango and coconut, pineapple and coconut and things. They're lush.
But that is a good example.
And you can keep them in the cupboard until you want to freeze them as well, which is brilliant, so they don't have to take up too much freezer space.
But that is a good example, I think, of the sort of thing that you would never think to search for. You wouldn't know it existed, but you see it in the supermarket and you go, oh, that's new and interesting, you get it. And then that's, you know, for next time, and we know it now, and we've searched for it. But there I was in the supermarket, and there's all these aisles and temptation and oh, wow. And except I can't do anything because I'm sort of chained to the customer service desk because I'm waiting for people to get back and kind of try and find our shop, which I'm not complaining about. Very grateful to the staff there; they were very helpful and all very lovely and understanding. But I just
maybe you can like arrange it with one of my family that maybe one evening, maybe you can go for if they need to go to the supermarket anyway. Like maybe like go at about 9:30 p.m. when you're not going to have to queue to get in, and don't do like a full on shop, but maybe a little mooch.
I have been there on foot before,
What, to Sainsbury's?
Yeah. To
Oh,
that
on your way home
Sainsbury's.
from work. Yeah.
No. I made a trip because it isn't on my way home. But I made a special trip to check out that Sainsbury's.
Oh, right, okay.
Because it's like there's not. It's the nearest.
You wouldn't want to walk back from there with
kind
shopping though. It's a long way.
I did.
I didn't say you didn't. I said you wouldn't want to.
Well, I mean, sure. I would prefer, you know, just
get a cab for goodness sake, man.
Oh God, someone's made of money. Oh, money bags here with cabs. Yeah,
but you
exactly.
could carry more stuff.
That's £5 less shopping, isn't it? Yeah.
I'll pay for a cab for you, Babs.
All right, fine.
I'm not paying for the cab there. You can walk.
Can we even get cabs during lockdown?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, it's quite good. The local cab company has sort of set up its sort of rules and things, particularly the ones that are black cab ones, so that the driver doesn't have to be in touch with you, and they've got contactless. Or you can pay online on your phone. So obviously I would still say wear a mask and hand sanitizer. I think they've probably got hand sanitizers in the cab, but I would take some with you. Hand sanitize before you get in and hand sanitize when you get out, and keep your mask on while you're in there. But as long as you're not in the cab with other people that you don't share a space with, I think as long as you're not touching surfaces too much, I think you'd be okay.
But it's been, it was...
They will actually go and pick up your click and collects for you as well, I've discovered.
But probably not if you've missed your appointment and you're running late and you have to you can't send a taxi driver to go in and ask a customer services and kind of...
No, that would be going above and beyond.
But it was going like, I have not been, because we could have, under lockdown rules, I could have done an essential shop, but
well, it's been tricky
Aldi
because we don't drive, so you'd be roping somebody else into the car
rules,
with you.
Though, I could have technically kept socially distanced and walked to like Aldi or even that Sainsbury's to do an essential shop. I could have done that under the rules.
Yeah.
But we have chosen obviously not to kind of try and stay as local as possible.
Yeah, we've been really probably, other than people who are shielding for health reasons, who have gone full lockdown, I'd say out of everybody I know, we've probably been very much on the strictest end of the scale.
Yeah, your brother Alan as well has been.
Yeah, strict. He's been really strict. Which
I just think if you're in a situation where you don't have to go to work.
Yeah.
Because obviously some people do have to go to work, but we're in a situation where, Ellie's business is closed. There aren't any comedy gigs for me to do, and I'm in furlough from my other part-time job. So we don't
might as well go as strict as we can.
Yeah,
really.
And try and be as responsible for ourselves and for the sake of everyone else as possible. So but,
I can't speak for yourself, but with me, I know that because it's all very tense times, and when this all sort of started kicking off, I think I mentioned it on here, but obviously, although I would say my mental health is a lot more robust than it has been, understandably it sort of played with my anxiety a little bit, and one of the sort of thoughts that would become, if I let it, quite intrusive and quite repetitive and quite worrying would be, what if I'm to blame for passing this on to someone? And so then the only way I can control that anxiety is by doing everything realistic in my possibility to not do that. So it's a way of sort of moderating my anxiety. So I'm not just doing it because aren't I good? It's actually it's self-preservation as well, because it's just if I was out there doing things that were against the rules, I'd be worrying about them. I would feel guilty, and I would be driving myself slowly mad. So it's obviously it is a good thing to do if you can, but I can't say I'm doing it entirely for selfless reasons. It's so that I don't drive myself batty. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that I just never want to look back on anything really and regret my actions. But that's why I'm an overthinker. Mm-hmm. So then you do overthink everything to sort of worry what's the right thing to do here? How do I handle this? And when it is a situation where it's all gone wrong and you weren't expecting it, or it's all escalated beyond your control, I struggle then, because once I've lost the sort of ability to control the situation, that's when the anxiety suddenly sort of explodes, because it's fine if I control everything and everything's going according to plan. But as soon as it isn't according to plan, that is when I get that's when I have to start implementing coping strategies. So last weekend, you witnessed, I think, safe to say, my first proper panic attack in about 4 years. But that's the first time in a long time where it's been like to the extent where like I'm sort of struggling to keep my breathing in check. Thankfully, I sort of got a lid on it quicker than perhaps I have done in the past, and also I think it's also really good that we've got quite good communication, so I can say to you without it being insulting, like I can just say, I need to just leave me on my own for a bit, because I totally understand the urge to like, what can I do, what can I help, and I'm like, I just need to not be looked at. I need to not be,
because I am inclined to look at her as the thing. It's habit forming. If you honestly, I find the more I look at Ellie, the more often I find myself looking at Ellie. It's when I look at her more.
That's quite cute.
She's got a nice face. So smiley, and it's got nice eyes.
Shut up.
But I tell you what though.
I'm gonna drink more wine now.
There is other stuff going on in the world.
Yes.
It's arguably even bigger than our
trip
shop.
to the supermarket.
There's been some news. The First Minister of Wales has made his announcements today about the changes that are going to happen
Drake face, yeah.
to a lockdown in Wales,
yes.
Not England, Wales now. And we'll go into detail about what they are, but I think it's fair to say, while we know people who are both kind of happy with the news and people who are a bit disappointed or frustrated or wish things could have gone further or different things have been done, I would say for myself, I'm kind of cautiously optimistic and positive about it all.
I think, basically, and it's quite a bold statement, but personally, and it is only on a personal level, and I do understand both sides of the coin if you're either end of the spectrum from me, but I kind of think bang on perfect for what I wanted to hear, really. Because it sounds to me like they are still being very cautious, which is what I want to see, because caution means I'm less anxious. But also they are prioritising allowing people to see their loved ones. Thankfully, again, we're in a very blessed situation, or at least actually I'm in a very blessed situation in that my family are close by, and from Monday I will be able to go and this household, i.e. us two, can go and mix with their household, which is actually...
We still have to stay socially
Yes,
distanced.
but as long as we're outdoors, so that we can walk over to their house, sit in their garden, we can obviously sit next to each other, and they can sit next to each other, but we need to stay 2 metres away from any member of that household.
We're lucky not just that they're close at hand, but also they have a big enough garden.
Yeah.
That is viable as a thing, which we realise is not the case for everyone.
Yeah, so we're quite lucky. The people I really do feel for with this particular bit of news is there's a caveat on it, which is don't travel more than 5 miles to spend time outdoors with a loved one. Now, they have admitted, they realised after announcing that there was a lot of people sort of going, well, actually, I live out in the sticks and it's like more than 5 miles to my local shop. It's insane that I can't travel. They've basically said if you were, so they clarified, which I also respected, very quickly. They realised that there was this sort of grey area, and then Mark Drakeford clarified, if currently due to where you live you are already having to travel more than 5 miles for pharmacies, essential shopping, etc., then use that as your basis of how far it is okay for you to travel to see other households.
Yeah. So and he sort of said, being sensible and reasonable
use about it, your judgment, but use it cautiously and soberly. And I think if you live out in the sticks in the middle of nowhere, because there are obviously very rural areas of Wales where actually there are people who probably have to get in the car and drive for 20 minutes to go to the nearest proper shop. And so if that's you, you'd be like, well, for fuck's sake, like I can't, like, so I can't go the other 10 minutes to go and visit my family on the other side of that shop. But like, obviously that might be about sort of 15, 20 miles. But for the most people who are living at least suburban and sort of urban environments, then it seems mainly reasonable. I do have a few friends who are in the unfortunate position where they've got friends where they live, but their family live sort of a short drive, maybe like 45 minutes, but 45 minutes by motorway. So actually you've travelled 40-50 miles, and that's where their family are. And when you might be thinking to yourself, well, I can get there without stopping, and I can, like, I don't have to go in their house, I can still like just pop back in my car and come home. But and I do feel for people in that position, and I am aware that I'm talking from a better position. So my family live nearby. I will be able to take advantage of that new easing of lockdown rules without feeling like we're being sort of dangerous. So on Monday, mum actually asked this evening if we'd be up for going over there, and I absolutely leapt at it. I was like, now that it's not against the rules, and as long as we can still be careful, yes, please, I'd love that. My niece will be there. That's one thing I am a little bit. We will have to be careful because oh god,
it's gonna be very nice to see her.
Will be really horrible not to be able to give her a hug. But I at least, like, she's old enough. She is 5. She's just turned 5. She's old enough that I can at least say, I really wish I was giving you a hug. So here's like a pretend hug. This is a hug. And whereas if she was sort of maybe 2 or 3, it would be harder to sort of maintain the social distance. It'll be hard for a 5-year-old, but if we're all watching and we're all there, then it should be doable.
Well, I feel
and they can all be close together, because that household is my mum and dad and one of my brothers and his daughter. Well, she's there half of the time. So that's actually quite a big chunk of my family that I can see. I'd like to be able to visit my gran, but how I could do that, I don't really know how I could do, because I'd have to go with a member of another household to get there. She's not far. I could probably walk there. They don't have a garden, but she could sit on the bench outside, because it's sheltered accommodation, and I could just stand sort of 2 to 3 meters away from the bench potentially, which would be really nice.
Well, it's a strange one because
there's logistics to work out. But
I'm just thinking out loud here, but it's a strange one because you're supposed to keep it, no more than 2 households. And I understand they've got to have restrictions, they've got to have rules, they can't, but theoretically, so you couldn't get your mum to take you there to see her because that's 3 households.
Yeah.
But you could get a taxi there.
Yeah. And a different taxi
back. So
which would be me mixing with more people
in a professional capacity.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I understand why they need. I'm only saying that
yeah. It is. I think that's also a fair point that I think credit due to the Welsh government. You could get into the minutiae of exact rules for every situation, but I think it muddies the waters and confuses the message of I think clarity of this is allowed, this isn't allowed, is for the most part helpful and better than sort of like at least it's a clear message. It's clear if you're following the rules or clear if you're breaking the rules, and for the most part, at least it means most people can be in contact with somebody now, which perhaps they couldn't earlier. But so people who are totally self-isolated, who are really, really, really struggling, at least now somebody can go, well, okay, we can meet in your local park. I will head there, even if it might not be the people you're most close with, it might not be your mother or your daughter or somebody you're so desperate to see because they live so far away, but a friend of the family, somebody you care about, hopefully can come to where you are. And even if it means that they have to just stand in the street because you don't have a garden or anything like that, then at least you've got that fit. Because that's, I think, again, the Welsh government have said their first priority is allowing people to see their loved ones, and I think their first priority has been mental health provision, basically allowing for the most part to help people who are really, really struggling with the isolation of all of this. And I have to say I admire and respect that choice. They've made a choice that's better for well-being, because in Wales it is estimated that the R rate is about 0.8, which means it is shrinking, but only slowly. And I think they're very reluctant to do anything that's going to significantly raise that. And I would rather that be the approach than, because in England, I've just been reading, like, the scientific advice have basically said this is against advice. They're easing lockdown restrictions. Even when they announced their roadmap to easing lockdown, they said they would only ease lockdown restrictions when the threat level was reduced to 3. It's still at 4, and they're easing lockdown restrictions because they said they would. They shouldn't have put dates on it, really.
Well, that's it, because they said they would, but they put dates on it. But they also said only if it was reduced.
Yeah.
So they're
going back on their word anyway, and I think it's going to have repercussions, which I think the Welsh Government and the Scottish Parliament, and I don't actually know as much about the Northern Irish standpoint on it, but all 3 devolved governments seem to be being more cautious than England, and I think there is an element of, well, we're going to wait and see what you do.
Yeah, and don't get me, I think that is a positive move, don't get me wrong. Like, I have got family, most of my family
you're English.
All my family is in England. I've got friends in England. It's not fun or cool for anyone to be the canary in this particular mineshaft. But, you know, I think we are glad that the Welsh Government aren't just rushing to kind of conform or kind of step in line with what they're doing in England because of any sort of public demand for that.
For having the 4 devolved governments, better that 3 of them go cautious and 1 of them sort of relaxes than all 4.
And you know,
whichever one you happen to be in, I think at least we can see what happens somewhere else and go with information that is sort of relevant to what happens based on, like, that was so poorly worded, but I think you follow what I mean.
We have talked on here before about how we kind of think with what happened with the VE celebrations, and when they're kind of easing lockdown, or everything that happened with Dominic Cummings, which has encouraged more people to kind of just go, well, fuck it then, and just break rules and stuff. I think we've had a kind of sense that we've talked about, well, things are going to get worse again. There's going to be a second wave or a spike, or the R rate's going to go back up. And don't get us wrong, we would kind of love to be proven wrong.
Oh, God, yes, please.
If in, 3 weeks or 6 weeks, wherever, things in England are all going very smoothly and infection rates are dropping, brilliant news.
That's the news I want to hear.
We're not convinced
it's
that's
just
what's
not the news
happen.
I expect to hear.
But we would love that to be the case. We'd love to be kind of proven wrong on this. But if we have the chance here in Wales to kind of hang back and take a wait and see approach, like I say, we don't want the English to be the guinea pigs in this, but if that is what is happening in England, we can't do anything about that now. But
what's the phrase? I keep saying, worry about things that are within your control. That's not in our control, so we might as well just go, okay, well, I'm glad that we're not doing that here, because that would be affecting stuff that I can control.
Yeah, because if it does go badly in England, then we can just not
and I think that will be the approach.
It
seems like Wales will go, nope, the R rate, even if the R rate stays at 0.8 here, but they see that relaxing it in England causes it to spike, then they go, unfortunately, we need to keep it at this level.
Right, we have run out of time. We had other things we wanted to talk about, but they will roll over till tomorrow.
They will. So tomorrow, I was going to say the stuff that we'll talk about, but that'll be a jolly downer. So we'll just leave it there.
Don't say that. There are positive things that we want to talk about as well.
Chris has got a new game.
And let's remake a film.
And we moved some furniture.
And shut up, right? We got to talk about let's remake a film. That's gonna be a fun thing to talk about, and it's a good game. And just don't tell them. Oh, we won't tell you about tomorrow, because that would be a downer. Because then you've still implied it's going to be a downer without telling. And I think there's going to be some nice things tomorrow. Maybe we won't even talk about the thing that's a downer. Maybe we'll drop that entirely.
Well, who knows? You'll have to tune in to find out. There's no shame in it.
There's no shame in it. Like and subscribe.